Lena, what an unpleasant surprise. Lena finds herself gazing into the glacial bottle green eyes of her mother. Lillian's seated at her desk, and she looks down at Lena over the top of a pair of chic reading glasses. You look a mess. Mother? Lena asks confusedly, balled protectively on the floor. She hasn't used the portal in months, maybe years. She's never liked the idea of trans-dimensional travel, and Lex usually determines the location. Is she at Luthor? In Lillian's office? Is something burning? I could have been in a meeting, Lillian chides, turning back to her computer with indifference. Lena groans, rolling onto her back. Sorry, I didn't have time to phone an appointment in. Fire, Lillian interrupts, glancing quickly at her. I'm fired, Lena asks, immediately on the defense. You're on fire, her mother explains with a casual point of her finger, eyes back on her computer screen. Lena glances down, and the sleeve of her thick field operative suit is in fact on fire. Lena gasps and bats her arm repeatedly against her middle section. Put it out, my God, before you spoil the carpet, Lillian unhelpfully directs, and by the time Lena's snuffed out the flames, she's smouldering and furious. She glares at her mother. It's New Zealand wool, Lillian clarifies. Darling, you know how hard it is to import. Lena squeezes her eyes closed, calling on every ounce of her training. The comment is provoking on a level only her mother has ever been capable of achieving. It has layers. It's stuck up, snobby, and New England. Everything Lena has tried and failed not to become. It reminds Lena of how unyielding she can be to Kara about the expensive upholstery and curtains in their own home. A failure in her marriage. And last, it makes Lena feel like overpriced carpet fibers are more valuable than she is. Like she's some sort of poorly trained animal who's just soiled the floor. A failure as a daughter. Now that we're done with theatrics, Lillian sets aside her documents and puts her computer to sleep. So now Lena is dramatic too? She heaves a weary sigh and levels Lena with a firm gaze, hand-fisted under her chin. Dare I ask how the mission went? The FBI secured the package. Lena grumbles, clothing still smoking as she sits sullen on the carpet. Burns be damned. The window is closed. I told you we couldn't afford any mistakes. Lena glances back up at Lillian, eyes narrowed. It was a super, Mother. I don't care. It was the Dalai Lama. Lillian snaps back. We don't leave witnesses. Lillian scoffs, moving to stand. She brushes charred metal from her suit with her gloved hands, and Lillian's eyes track the movement like a hunting lioness in the tall grass. You want me to kill Supergirl? Lena asks incredulously, eyebrows raised and hands on her hips. Just the simple movement hurts. God, she's sore. It feels like Supergirl bruised her entire body. Her suit's black, so it's hard to see where the blood is, but she can smell it. If she ID'd you, Lillian interlaces her fingers, still looking for all the world like a cloak and dagger Bond villain, you're as good as dead. She didn't ID me. You're sure? Lillian cocks her head. A super with the ability to hear and memorize a heartbeat. A super with X-ray vision. A super close enough to singe your clothes to your skin with just her eyes. Lena feels her face pinch in anger. I had my heartbeat dampener on. She didn't see me, and my skin is only... Lena waves her hands in front of her face. A little singed to my clothes. Take care of it. Lillian cuts her off in a firm command. Lena steps forward, and Lillian doesn't give an inch, still as stone. Lex has been at it for 10 years, Lena says slowly in a quiet snarl. You want me to dispatch a Kryptonian at the snap of your fingers? Well, you did always say you were smarter than Lex, Lillian smirks. She pauses a moment, clearly savoring a checkmate. Haven't you, darling? Lena clenches her jaw. Of course, Lillian would dangle the idea of besting the psychopathic narcissist like a carrot on a stick. And it's almost tempting enough to have Lena chomping at the bit. But she's not an idiot. That woman she met today was a super, an evolved alien species, a Kryptonian. Lena might have a warehouse full of kryptonite, but even she doesn't feel particularly confident or stupid enough to roll the dice and take her chances. They may share DNA, but Lena distinctly does not share in her brother's misguided quest to prove his superiority. In fact, that's how she knows she's smarter than him. You have 48 hours. Lillian's face drops back into the cold mask of contempt. She waves in dismissal. Oh, only 48, Lena mocks, turning on her heels. So generous. Something tells me you'll need it, Lillian quips back, and Lena grinds her teeth. This was all just so like her stepmother. Setting Lena to an impossible task, leaving her unprepared and then criticizing her after an inevitable failure. She wouldn't put it past her mother to criticize her even in the event of her death. In her eulogy, not that anyone knew she existed, not that anyone would come. Because Lena Kieran wasn't a Luthor. Lena Kieran was a Luthor bastard. A Luthor lapdog, the muscle, the dispensable pawn doing the grunt work. She'd beaten Lex at chess by the time she was 6, but here she was cleaning up his messes. Lex Luthor, the alleged genius, the man of tomorrow. If she were him, maybe she'd have a choice in the matter regarding Supergirl, but she's not, and she doesn't. She grinds her teeth again, and at this rate, she'll need to see her dentist about a mouth guard. She can already tell she'll be wolfing down several Benadryl tonight to sleep. So nice to see you, Lena bids farewell, intentionally scoffing the burned black rubber soles of her boots across the carpet as she leaves. When she reaches the door, however, she finds a newly hung portrait of Lillian, fastened like a colossus to the wall. It features an antique green background, and in the foreground sits her mother, her stark, judgmental eyes, her perfectly coiffed Connecticut hair. She wears a dour and disappointing expression. They got that right. A pearl necklace accents her neck, dropping into a pink dress that actually has white frills. Frills. Another one, Mother? Really? Was 15 portraits not the stopping point? Oh, you condescend. Lillian clicks her tongue. The real question is, when will you get the vanilla wafer of a wife to sit for one? Another statement that irritates Lena in her skin, her muscle, her very bone marrow. One, Kara's not a wafer. She's quite solidly built. And 2, Lena may be a lot of things. A killer, an impersonator, a thief, even a slob, but getting self-portraits of herself and her spouse hung in every atrium, lobby, and foyer is where she draws the line. I would rather die, Lena states, factually. Lillian smiles. It's unnerving. Careful, she tusks. You may just get your wish. When Lena storms back into her office an hour later, her entire team is there waiting anxiously with their mouths open. Like she's just slipped a nipple at a charity gala, but instead she's bleeding, requires stitches, and sports a second-degree burn on her arm. Lena, Jess rushes to her, stitching essentials and balm in hand, always prepared. Lena stops her with a look. Get me that tape. Jess eyes her wounds nervously, but otherwise nods and hurries off. The rest of the room waits for their instructions, dead silent. Even Mike has shut up for once. We have a new target, Lena starts, sweeping towards the debrief table and snapping up the remote. And this comes from the big boss. She clicks a few times, and the one blurry, grainy photo that exists anywhere on the internet of Supergirl pops up. You're kidding, Sam says in a whisper, her eyebrows raised. Nope, Lena replies darkly, and we only have 48 hours. That's impossible. What are we supposed to do? We have to take care of it, Lena echoes the words of her mother. Clean the scene. But Sam remains unconvinced, arms crossed in front of her chest. We're supposed to illuminate Supergirl. Lena sighs, throwing the remote down. Those are the marching orders, she barks back. Let's just start with known weaknesses, where she goes, who she is. What do you mean, who she is? Mike finally finds his voice. It's chafe to Lena's very fresh wounds. She's not anyone, she's an alien. Yes, thank you, Sherlock Holmes. Lena snaps. Well spotted. As our resident expert, you can start by personally organizing and cataloging all of our kryptonite weapons. Mike crouches toward the exit. But before he leaves, she can pick up the first few notes of his whistling, and she briefly indulges a graphic fantasy of crushing his windpipe. The rest of you, she recenters herself back on task. My brother has long suspected Superman has an alias, a human alter ego. Get me that tape. Kara's not out for long. Not that she'd know. She's never been out, per se. She's never taken a kryptonite grenade to the face, much less kryptonite in general, but she's still waking up by the time she can hear the beat of the helicopter wings. Is Alex, she's sure. She's up enough to feel the shrapnel pushing itself out of her skin where the sun touches it. Her powers are out of whack, but she surveys the destroyed shack as best she can. Pins and needles pain, shooting throughout her entire body like knives flaying skin. It sucks. She crawls across the floor until she can stand, and when she finally managed to pull herself up, using a charred wooden post as a handrail, she can see a squad of unmarked military personnel jumping out of a black helicopter. In a uniform line, they rush their way up the hillside like obedient ants. Wincing, Kara sweeps her gaze over the wreckage, looking for anything, any clue that can tell her what very rude person just dropped a grenade like a party favor gift, and then straight up portaled to safety. Halfway across the burning floor, her eyes land on a fried laptop. Bingo. Kara snatches it up just as Alex bursts in, ripping her helmet off. What the fuck? It's embarrassing getting back to the DEO. Kara can't fly, and it's a cramped flight. She takes the place of one of the operatives, and Alex literally leaves him in the middle of the desert looking like a baby animal from one of those Planet Earth documentaries, lost and abandoned. Priorities, she tells Kara. Kara avoids the awkward looks of the other men and women as they take off. It smells like gasoline. It's torturously loud. She hates this. She loves flying. She hasn't blown out her powers since, well, 5 or 6 years ago, and she picks uncomfortably at the remaining shrapnel in her skin, gripping the charred remains of the laptop to her chest like a fire-blackened childhood security blanket. Just leave it. Alex stops Kara's nervous fidgeting. We'll get it out when we land. This is how Kara comes to find herself face to face with needle-nosed pliers that have no business being that long and a serious expression on her sister's face. This is how Alex looks when she's about to decimate Kara's last battleship. Ready? She asks, and doesn't give time for Kara to answer. Alex yanks hard, and Kara cries out. Her sister drops the bloody piece of shrapnel into a tray of rubbing alcohol. You're lucky, Alex tells her, angling to grip another piece buried in Kara's shoulder. These weren't intended to be lethal. There was a small dispersal of kryptonite when they exploded, but it's not laced in the metal. It cleared in the air. Otherwise, you'd be dead. She's not sure what to say to that. She doesn't feel lucky. Alex yanks again, and Kara bites it back this time. You get a look at the guy who did this? Alex asks in a growl, and Kara winces when she tugs the next piece of metal out. 130 pounds tops, she grits, breathing heavily, and I'm not even sure it was him. Alex rolls her chair around to look Kara in the eyes. A woman did this to you. Kara nods. A professional. Obviously, she used kryptonite. Alex shakes her head. Who even has access to that? Alex sighs, glancing back down to Kara's arms and side. She focuses on a shroud lodged in Kara's waist. That limits the suspect pool. She pulls it out deftly. Kara shudders. Definitely someone working with a Luthor. Kara's brows knit together. She's pretty sure she hasn't stopped furrowing since she woke up with grenade fragments in her cheeks. You get anything else other than weight class? Heartbeat, smell, anything? Laptop, Kara says, still clutching it to her chest. Yes, I can see that. Alex glances at it warily. Want to hand your little buddy over and get it analysed? No. Kara doesn't trust anything in the hands of the DEO. Kara, no. Kara repeats, belatedly realizing how awkward it sounds. I mean, we have better tech at the fortress. It'll be faster. Why did she lilt that like a question? It must be the kryptonite. She's off her game. Alex looks naturally distrustful. She always knows when Kara's lying. Anything else you saw about this lady killer? She left through a portal. Alex uses the distraction to pull another piece out and Kara seizes. It was purple. Alex takes a pause, tongs held to her head like she's thinking. A transmat portal, maybe? Was it a watch? Kara falters. I don't know, maybe? Alex's face darkens. Only Lex uses that. Well, it wasn't Lex, but it wasn't him. Alex puts the tongs down with a metal clang on the medical tray and watches Kara carefully. What about the mother? Was it Lillian? No, Kara sighs. How do you know? There aren't any other Luthors, Alex says, like Kara doesn't already know that. The silence that follows is long. It's just, there's more. She doesn't want to tell Alex, but she'd heard a heartbeat for a split second, right when she'd first landed. It had been familiar too. It had almost sounded like... Did this mystery female Luthor recognize you? Alex asks, gripping the pliers again and taking hold of the last big piece of shrapnel in Kara's neck. Kara falters. She wants to say no, but if she had heard the heartbeat, then the woman had plenty of time to watch her from a distance. I'm not sure. Kara! Alex immediately chastised. She might have had video facial recognition if she heard your voice, if she's as high-tech as she sounds. I'll take care of it, Kara grits. I'll find her, okay? Alex nods and wrenches the piece out. Kara represses a scream. Her body pushes the rest of the grenade fragments out like stubborn splinters while she lays annoyed and humiliated under a sun lamp for a few hours. Most of the cuts on her face and neck close up. It's slower than normal to heal, and she's still hobbling on her way to Brainy's emporium. Her powers are going in and out. Sound keeps hitting her in ear-splitting waves, and she can't speed or fly. She'd left her car at Catco, and it's crappy taking the bus. It takes forever. When she finally gets there, she drops the mutilated laptop on Brainy's desk without preamble. What am I supposed to do with this? Brainy asks in a perfect monotone, pulling out a crispy keyboard letter Q and dropping it onto his desk with disdain. Analyze it. Did you? He gestures at the bubbling and curled metal. Cook a campfire out of it? It's a moment where she's not sure if he's being sarcastic or literal. Brainy's a little odd. A fellow alien whose discretion she can trust, but he's definitely not on the adept side of passing for human. Look, it has sentimental value, okay? To you, he prods. Kara smiles, forced. I'm trying to return it to its owner. A good Samaritan, I take it, he deadpans. And she's still not sure if he's making fun of her. He has a way of delivering everything like an Amazon Alexa. Kara sits down anyway, while Brainy disassembles the scorched parts. Upgraded RAM module, he talks to himself. Shipped from China. It takes some time. Enough that Kara starts tinkering with little things she finds around the shop. An alien-looking light source, a cube with strange runes on it. A small-looking Earth planet within a bottle. She picks that last one up and inspects it more closely. It looks really realistic. Don't touch that, Brainy says without looking up, and Kara puts it down quickly. I've got something. Kara wanders back over to him, rounding his chair to look over his shoulder at the plain black screen with red and green coding text. No name, just the building address. He turns the screen towards her. 570 Lexington Avenue, Suite A, 5003, New York, he reads aloud, and Kara jilts. He glances up. Do you know it? Lena's been staring at the video feed of Supergirl for the past 30 minutes, and it's put her in such a foul mood she's bitten 2 pens in half. There's not a drug high strong enough to cure her irritation, not an IV of caffeine, not a glass of scotch with a Xanax chaser, not even the slightly burnt pot brownie she and Kara consumed once on a Caribbean vacation. She can feel a tension headache forming. Maybe if she started an elaborate rumor about Mike, she'd feel better. Or searched his desk for a lock of Kara's hair, planting it there if she doesn't find one. She grumbles, playing back the video feed. Supergirl catches the kryptonite bullet in the air with an absolute amount of ease. A cockiness that would be attractive were it not for the fact that her alien eye lasers singed Lena's skin a little to her uniform seconds later. Nice try, she taunts. Lena plays it back. Nice try. Again. Nice try. Nice try. Lena watches it over and over. Supergirl's looking at the camera, so Lena has the full benefit of capturing the perfect clean edge of her teeth. The cupid's bow of her lips, the frosty winter essence of her ice blue eyes. They're all in perfect high definition as she says, nice try. There's an irritatingly familiar cadence to her smugness. It's annoying. It grits like something in Lena's teeth. It's like she's heard it before, but that just seems impossible. She presses a finger hard enough to her temple that it could be a hammer strike. Go make some coffee. She dismisses the two other women, analyzing the video next to her. They trade looks with one another that Lena summarily ignores. She's got something here. She just doesn't want anyone else looking at this video. She has a hunch she doesn't even fully understand. It's a hunch that there's something here to hide. Nice try. Lena goes back further in the reel to when Supergirl lands in a cloud of dust. Why was she even there? Why did she show up a few minutes before the caravan was scheduled to arrive? Was she on the same mission? Why would she care about the tank, aka some bed-haired munchkin? Supergirl takes out her phone in the video. Supergirl has a cell phone? And she coos at her cloud photo. It's like Lena suddenly and distinctly remembers the concept of disequilibrium, when information is new and doesn't fit into an existing schema. There are theories the Native Americans couldn't see ships on the horizon because the idea of a floating vessel was too foreign. Their brains rejected it. That's how Lena feels now, seeing Supergirl coo at a cloud photo. Her brain wants to black space the sight of it. She taps the playback. Supergirl hums, lifting it up. It's endearing and so very human. It's a sound Lena can tell she's done 100 times looking at cat videos. She definitely has a civilian identity. But why? Who would want to pretend to be human when you were super? When you were so much more? She replays the feed. Supergirl opens the circular can, bored and waiting. She pops a Vienna sausage into her mouth. Lena slams her finger on the pause button. She forces her eyes closed in a full body wince. She imagines something she doesn't want to imagine. Supergirl with glasses covering those blindingly blue eyes, recognizably blue eyes. Supergirl with that pretty blonde hair up in a ponytail. Supergirl's arms, those biceps bare, skin revealed. Popping a Vienna sausage into her mouth in Lena's kitchen, Lena in her own kitchen, watching Mike pinch Kara's bicep. Kara Danvers, her wife, Supergirl. Lena jumps when the office phone rings, hard enough that her knee slams into the underside of the desk. Fuck, she curses. It's a bruise on top of a bruise. Her heart rate has skyrocketed. It's your wife, Jess calls to her. And Lena glances up sharply, filled with a kind of paranoia only Lillian Luthor could relate to. Kara may have laughed. Or vomited. She doesn't remember. All she knows is that she made it out of the shop with the fragments of the laptop in hand and a stern warning to Brainy to delete all the evidence. She takes the bus further downtown. She practically falls out of the plexiglass doors at the stop. How had she never been here before? Why? Not even a flyby, not even a single suspicious question in 5 years. What kind of idiot was she? She's inside the golden lobby before she has time to properly think it through. She immediately finds a building floor map, tracking her finger across the screen until she finds Suite A. She reads it even though she already knows what it's going to say. Lena Danvers, Financial, CEO, Suite A, 5003. Kara curses to herself in Kryptonian. She picks up her phone and dials Lena's office. Lena's assigned contact info pops up on her phone screen while the call rings. Kara took the photo at their favorite restaurant. It highlights Lena's kissable pink lips, the mossy green of her eyes, skin pale and gossamer. But in this new lighting, she looks like a perfect trap, a woman expressly designed to deceive her. "Hi, Kara," Jess greets her warmly on the other line. "Hi, Jess. I was just wondering, what time is dinner?" Kara's voice comes out high and a little wobbly. Just a second, she hears Jess pull the phone away from her mouth. She muffles the question to Lena, who must be nearby. "Dinner's at 7, Lena answers in the background. Kara wants to be comforted by the sound of her voice, but she's not. "Dinner's at 7, Jess repeats to her. Right. It always is." Kara stress eats a large pizza on the way home. She can't help it. She goes to her favorite place, an inconspicuous spot just north of downtown. She likes it because they don't ask questions about how a seemingly slim human woman eats a lumberjack's meal 5 times a day. They don't try to pin her picture on the wall with sauce all over her face. They just give her the box, and she leaves. But for once, she actually has to drive her car to and from home. She usually just carries it, but her body still itches all over from the healing cuts, and her powers aren't quite returned. It makes her nervous to go home. Going home to Lena. Going home to Lena Luthor? When she pulls into the driveway, Kara checks the windows first for any signs of danger. She's not even sure what she's looking for. Gatling gun? A bazooka? An interdimensional wormhole? But she finds nothing. Just the picture-perfect view of their back-entertaining patio, their boring Pottery Barn-styled living room, those stupid new curtains. She takes a deep breath and enters through the back door, and it's uncomfortably quiet in the house. Maybe it always is, but there's the lingering smell of a cooked meal. Meat, maybe? Pot roast? Her favorite. "Hi, babe." Lena appears out of nowhere, scaring Kara nearly half to death. She jumps back, but Lena only smiles a bit wolfishly. "Perfect timing, as always," Kara answers, having quickly recovered her dignity, standing straight. "Not always." Lena snipes a little, and that feels more familiar. She pulls Kara into a hug regardless, pressing cheek to cheek. Lena smells good. The texture of her blouse is silky and expensive. Her cheek is warm. Kara thinks of the invisible blonde hairs that exist all over Lena's face. She used to think of Lena as her furry little earth creature. Her furry little murderous earth creature. Kara discreetly palms her body, checking for weapons. Lena seems clean and hums slightly in enjoyment at Kara's petting. It throws Kara off. "Are you cooking?" she asks when Lena pulls away. Lena nods, toweling her hands off at the sink. "That's a nice surprise." "I hope so," Lena answers, and her voice is deep, her smile coy. "No." Kara tries to tell her body firmly, "Do not react." "You're home early," Lena comments, conversationally. "I missed you," Kara says, stepping closer, hands to Lena's waist again. She breathes Lena's intoxicating scent in more fully. She's close enough to detect the hint of gunpowder, but it's gone before she can fully focus on it. She curses internally at her inability to use her X-ray vision to check for bandages and weapons. Lena, for her part, doesn't betray an ounce of discomfort. She doesn't shrink from Kara's touch. She doesn't look afraid. Her heartbeat is calm. In fact, she smiles at Kara from under her thick, black lashes and leans into her touch. "Ah," she says, cute. "I missed you too." She squeezes Kara's hands at her waist before handing her a glass of champagne with a strawberry in it. It's from their crystal glassware collection. Odd. "Shall we? Dinner's in the dining room." Maybe nothing's wrong, Kara thinks as she takes the glass. Maybe it's in her head. Her own wife, trying to kill her with kryptonite? Maybe Brainy got the wrong address. Lena leaves the kitchen and Kara absently checks the room for flowers. She learned early on that flowers had meaning, and the carefully selected vases around the house reflected Lena's current disposition like a cheap mall mood ring. Looking around, there's marigolds, lilies, and roses in the living room, the kitchen, the wet bar. It's subtle, but they're everywhere, which is, again, odd. Kara's pretty sure those all mean death. Plus, there's Drano on the counter near the sink. She wonders if her still recovering body can withstand being burned from the inside out. She thinks probably not, so she throws the champagne into a houseplant. In the dining room, Kara finds a formal setup appropriate for a 5-star restaurant. Lena has their anniversary china out. All of the silverware is sterling. The tall candles are lit. "I thought you only brought these out for special occasions," Kara comments, setting her empty glass near her seat at the table. "This is a special occasion," Lena answers easily, but it triggers warning bells. Kara reaches to remove her glasses, beginning to feel a very distinct need to search Lena and the room, even if her powers are off. But Lena's there in a flash, stopping her with a hand to Kara's waist. "I don't want you to be blind, darling," her wife says, the picture of care and concern, and Kara falters. "Right?" Lena adds, and Kara gets the sense that she's being teased by a world-class professional. Lena smirks ever so slightly and plucks the strawberry out of Kara's empty champagne glass. She eats it with a coquettish smile. So, not poison, Kara thinks, and keeps the glasses on, where she sits with a tight smile. "Pot roast, my favorite," she observes. Lena hums in acknowledgement and cuts the buttery parmesan bread with a military-grade efficiency. Kara almost can't look away from how good Lena is with a thick-bladed bread knife. Had she always been like that? Kara especially wonders when Lena switches to a carving knife and makes incredibly short work of the pot roast. "So, how was work today?" Kara asks with a touch of unease. "We had a little trouble with the commission," Lena answers after a pause. "Oh?" She comes around to Kara's side of the table with a plate of oven-baked kale. "Double booking with another firm," she explains, and it feels laden with implication. "Kale?" Kara doesn't even want kale in her eyeline. "No, thank you." "Here, have some." She loads Kara's plate up with another meaningful smile. Kara feels her eyes narrow, feels the desire to pin Lena to the nearest vertical surface and strip search her. But she stays settled, and Lena seats herself across from Kara. She drinks from her generously poured glass of red wine, and Kara can see the stain of it on her full lips. Well, I hope everything works out. Kara reaches for her own glass of red wine, hoping in her powerless state it might actually affect her. "It hasn't yet, but it will," Lena says with a hint of happy foreboding. They eat in silence, staring at each other. Kara swallows, and it's so quiet in the dining room, she's convinced it echoes. "How was Catco?" Lena finally asks, still smiling in that cat who ate the canary kind of way. "We had a few problems ourselves," Kara answers, noticing Lena's nearly empty glass. She stands, reaching for the bottle of red wine. Some facts didn't add up. While she's pouring Lena's red wine, she looks down at her wrist. Lena wears an expensive Rolex, and Kara doesn't have a memory of giving it to her. Had she always had it? Looking closer, it has a number of strange numeric symbols and watch hands. It certainly doesn't read the time. The following sequence of events happens so slowly, it could be a frame-by-frame sports replay. Kara sets down Lena's glass of wine near her left hand and brushes the top of the watch, subtly pressing. A bright purple portal opens up behind them as Lena's eyes go wide. She takes a large gasp. Kara hears her insides, ribs, bones, muscles expand. She begins to stand, heartbeat racing, and Kara squeezes with just enough super strength that the watch shatters and the portal flickers out. An electric current with enough volts to take down an elephant courses through Kara's body. She falls to the floor, spasming and thrashing, and the bottle of wine in her other hand goes flying in a beautiful football Hail Mary, shooting Pinot Noir all over their expensive Persian rug and oil painting of the River Thames. Lena stands there above Kara, some sort of glowing blue knife clutched in her fist. A shock knife? With the surprise and fear of everything that just transpired in the last few seconds plastered all over her face. She flees the room. When Kara can finally move, she hears tires screeching from the driveway. "Lena," she calls out, scrambling to her feet. "So stupid, stupid, stupid," Lena hisses to herself in the answering and judgmental silence of her BMW. She grips the wheel, shrieking around the corner at the end of their street. "Stupid, stupid, stupid," she continues to rant. She should have taken the watch off. She shouldn't have even gone home. She could have just left Kara, called in a missile strike or something. Why did she go to the dinner at all? She flies another corner, and her eye catches on the movement in the bushes. She whips her head fast, and she sees a feminine blur running through the sprinklers of one of their neighbors' lawns. She hits the accelerator, but it doesn't matter. At the end of the block, Kara bursts through a white picket fence, and her eye lasers activate, shooting two perfect laser beam holes clean through Lena's front windshield. They miss her by inches. Lena slams her brakes, coming to a stop, her mouth agape. She stares at Kara, who comes running and winded to stand in the middle of the street. She could have killed Lena, and Lena's not sure she's ever been this furious with her wife. "No, no, no," Kara holds her hands up. "Accident." "Oh yeah?" Lena says to herself, revving the engine. "Just wait a second," Kara warns. And maybe it's the movement of both her hands going to her waist, because she looks like Supergirl. "Let's not get carried away." But it's too late. Lena hits the gas. Hey, hey. Kara tries to stop her, but she smacks right into the front bumper of Lena's car, cracking the windshield and rolling up the glass. "You're overreacting," she shouts from the hood, taking hold. Lena tries to swerve her off, but it doesn't work. Instead, Kara climbs to the top of the car and kicks out the rear window in a spray of glass over the black leather seats. Our therapist said nonverbal is our love language. Kara shimmies herself into the car, and now Lena really wants to kill her. So she unclicks her seatbelt and rolls from the vehicle as it careens towards a sharp turn, towards the forest. Lena hits the pavement hard, oil slicked and road stained. She looks up to see Kara pressed up against the back windshield. "But we need to talk." The car bursts through the metal medium with a screech. It pitches forward into the tree line and down and over a steep decline.